It's the 10th of September and it's 11:28, and this is following on from last night's upload with regard to the ongoing offences that I'm unduly and inexcusably and unforgivably, in the language of the United Nations, experiencing, not only just since I gave birth but also since 2006. So as I've said there, it's been a little bit of a matter of people and culprits of and debt exacerbation every day that are a little bit in bad practice of covetousness that is really unhealthy and unsafe and unlawful. As I've mentioned, I'm healing from Hippocratic offences, and there are individuals that are still of violations to privacy, breaching confidentiality, and querying and questioning circumstances that they're not doing so legally. So it's Sunday, and I'm disliking this procedure of my documentary ongoing without the proper intelligent behaviour being presented, and the ASBO conduct of mental matters, mental health matters not being addressed properly. So those that are, as I said, being obstinate and that aren't displaying respectful behaviour and not being considerate or courteous aren't really observing the protocol of COVID-19 and that which was intended from COVID-19 protocol. So as I've mentioned, there are individuals, culprits, repeat offenders and debt evaders that are, after overstepping a few very important lines and haven't addressed what they're in their own capacity meant to be doing. So we all have a unique position, purpose, and role, and there are some people that are coveting positions that they're not equipped for or that they haven't been trained for. So it's quite unsafe that people disrespect, as I've mentioned, all that came from my humanitarianism and my social reform input, and the social justice that has come about as well, which are considered lifetime achievements. So there's like a little bit of a discrepancy between the reality and people's perception of what isn't actually very intelligent at all. So it's only common sense that people respect what has come and what has happened. There have been difficulties and challenges, but unfortunately, that is probably due to breakdowns in communication, or possibly people just not bothering, to do what they're supposed to be doing or what they're receiving a wage for. So this is an ongoing issue. There's a lot that people need to start addressing and realizing that there are, positions filled and being fulfilled, and there are positions then that people have to look after in their own circumstances, in their own life matters, in their own affairs. And it's very rude and it's very unsafe to continue persisting into a position where you're not exactly equipped, or where you're not welcome. And it's definitely not safe if if a person has disrespected the source of social reform or the source of change. So if there are people that have disrespected all that change and that haven't exactly been trained or qualified in the position that they're coveting from, or that they're insulting, or that they're injuring, or that they owe money to, it's really not in their best interest to continue offending me, and it's not really in the best interest of anybody to continue delaying progress, which would mean doing what they're supposed to be doing and what they're receiving a salary for. That means like my housing needs, my property and the land register, the child that I gave birth to being absent illegally from my care. All of these matters, like, you know what I mean? We all have hierarchy of needs, and there are some people living beyond their needs and means, and there are people spending what they don't own. So it's all very dangerous. It's all quite dirty, and the circumstances are for the interests of the intelligent people of the European Parliament to address. Cronyism and corruption don't go very well in a progressive society, and there are people that aren't even within the law, that aren't very safe, thinking they're laying down the law. So those that aren't respecting the law, that are disrespecting the health and wealth recovery that came from my humanitarianism, society has cleaned up its act, and wealth has been retrieved from people that were being wronged. So that came from my humanitarian initiatives. So anyone putting their name to any portfolio professional achievements of my uh, portfolio, that's just an insane act. It's creative intellectual property theft, and it's highly penalised. So the point of this morning is that I'm still experiencing individuals that are querying and questioning illegally, trespassing and intruding disrespectfully, not observing protocol, not observing the law, not respecting social reform, not respecting that they owe debts and that they have to honour their debts, and not respecting the basics. So there are people that aren't fit for circumstances that they've caused. I'm healing from Hippocratic offences, so any woman out there worth her salt in the earth might have a little bit of common sense about where they're causing trouble, especially if it has anything to do with my farmland, where there are debts, very dirty debts associated, where I'm awaiting for the authorities to address these. There is no disposability or displacement possibility in any individuals' prospects of land grab, as they call it in Old Ireland. Those people that have associated themselves with my properties in Ardfert and Kilflynn, that have incriminated and caused harm, that have offended my family name, or that have offended my ancestral royal records. The Vatican is aware that my Celtic ancestors, both paternal and marital, have been blasphemed against, and there has been bigamy at play also. So since 2015, and my associations with the Department of Agriculture, I hope there aren't any individuals working with inaccurate information and telling themselves anything that isn't true. I think the records of the Vatican really need to be kept up to date with what dangerous conduct I'm contending with, and the inconsistency of what is expected and what is being presented. So those that have offended my innocent son's upbringing have caused harm to many others also as a consequence. So that's all quite serious, and it's irresponsible. It's not demonstrating successful leadership. So those that think they're in a position to be laying down the law with no leadership skills would be best advised to be really, really careful with regard to the social reform I initiated, the humanitarianism cause that I have, and the debts that I'm owed. It's very disgusting that people at this stage of their lives haven't got proper financial management skills. So I hope China is aware how dangerous the situation is, that these people aren't even fit to manage money. So the fact of the matter remains, as long as all of these matters are continuing, there's going to be a situation again, unfortunately, that was highlighted with the latest corruption scandal between 2017 and 2019. So no to corruption. I hope everyone out there is saying no to corruption, and as a consequence of the corruption I uncovered between 2017, I would hope that we've all learned a lesson. So this is just an upload for Sunday morning. I'm obligated, and it's a prerequisite for the safety that is being compromised by ASBOs that have put society at very dangerous risk. They are liable already since 2006. They have managed money recklessly, and they have debts to pay, and they have been speaking out of place of false reporting initiative. So it's very dangerous slandering people's names. That's why we have defamation laws. So if those that have principles have a healthy respect for the purpose of what has happened, the recovery principles, then, if people are able to respect all that, then things mightn't be so difficult or challenging. But when people are deciding to go against the tide, then we have a tsunami issue, and we've already had one of those only recently. So people should be really careful about what they're doing. They're liable, their liabilities, and it would be really respectful to just observe the proximity and privacy codes of behaviour. There are some people that are assuming a position that they don't have at all. They've disrespected the social reform. They've disrespected what they don't have entitlement to. They've taken credit for what they don't have, and they don't have proper money management skills, and they're heavily in debt, and they've put innocent life at risk. So I hope the Chinese government are aware of how strict this policy is with regard to zero tolerance, and as suppose with mental health illnesses in society, disrespecting COVID-19 protocol and not displaying honourability. So that's just what major point is necessary for this morning. I hope it's not falling on deaf ears. It's 2023. I'm trying to locate my child for the past 7. So if the authorities wouldn't mind doing what they're supposed to be doing, besides, more corruption being conducted, then we might have a safer world for our children.